All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Maryland Commission on Indian Affairs meeting. I'm going to officially call this meeting to order. I'm going to ask Vice Chair Bradshaw to lead us in the invocation this evening.
There I go. I'm unmuted. Everybody hear me? Good.
Yes.
Grandfather, we come before you this evening to conduct the business of our people. May the ancestors give us wisdom and discernment to make the decisions for the betterment of our people. And we thank you for allowing us the privilege of coming together this evening. Wanishi.
Thank you, Vice Chair Bradshaw, for that. I'm going to go ahead and get started with our guest presenters as we do have a number on the agenda this evening. I'm going to start with Earl Evans as he joined us at this time.
I'm looking for
Um,
him now, Chair. I don't see him.
All right. We will move on, and if he joins us, then we'll come back to Mr. Evans. Dr. Shablisky, if you would like to share.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to introduce myself for those of you who don't know me, my name is Julia Shublitsky. I am the Chief Archaeologist and Director of the Office of Cultural Resources for the Maryland Department of Transportation. And we've been working together with Mr. Colston, the Maryland Commission on Indian Affairs, as well as different tribal leaders from the Eastern Shore as well as Southern Maryland to try and look at historical markers. Specifically, those are the black and white aluminum metal alloy markers you see all over the place. We have almost 800 along our roadways. They've been being looked at and installed since the 1930s. So it's a pretty long program that we've had. Now, I wanted to just tonight to kind of tell you where we're at with that process. We've been working on it for about a year, and we've closed the program down to the public. So we're no longer taking public applications like we used to because there was such a backlog of markers in general. And then we have, out of these 800 markers that are hanging out there, we have a lot of them that have insensitive language. A lot of them are just factually wrong. And so I wanted to specifically work with the two different commissions, the Maryland Commission on Indian Affairs, as well as the Commission for African American History and Culture, and focus with those two groups to kind of take a look at the ones with the Indigenous history and Black history. So where we are at with the Indigenous history ones is that I've been working very closely with the Eastern Shore with specifically the Nassau-Wash and the Pocomoke Indian Nation. We've also reached out to the Akahanik Indian tribe, but we have to do a little bit better job of that. I think at some point we're going to have to maybe have an in-person meeting, since not always the online option is not always the best option. So I'll continue to reach out to everyone. But what we have done is for the Eastern Shore, we've identified 7 historical markers that should be rewritten and relooked at. And then we kind of whittled it down to 3 that need to be rewritten and 1 that is going to be a brand new one. And the goal is kind of to look at about 4 a year for each of the different regions. We have 4 different regions. And the new one coming up will be the Pocomoke tribal homelands. I've been working with Commissioner Howard, so we're now to the point where that has been submitted for fabrication, and we're hoping for a November unveiling for that. So I'm trying to push the fabricator along to try and get that ready for you all, so we can have a formal unveiling. That will be at the Worcester County Visitor Center, 144, of course, Ocean Highway in Pocomoke City, Maryland. So that's where we're at with the Eastern Shore ones. We do have one specific one that we've kind of redone a little bit, and it's underneath review with Vice Chair Bradshaw and Chief Donna right now. I think you all should have that in your email, so you're looking at that one, and then we're going to be receiving a few more from you as well. So that's going along swimmingly. Now the Southern Maryland ones, we have about 11 historical markers down there that we're looking at for Southern Maryland, with the Cedarville Band of the Piscataway Indians, Piscataway Conoy Tribe, and the Piscataway Indian Nation. So we started about, I want to say maybe about 9 months ago, and we had a lot of great steam going, and now we've kind of slowed down, but I'm reaching back out again to the different tribal members that have been identified to work on these 11 historical markers. We have identified 3 to rewrite, and then a new one is going to be for Fort Zekiah. So that's kind of where we're at. So I'm continually trying to reach out, and hopefully they'll get a hold of me too. And I know that Mr. Colson as well is reaching out, trying to facilitate those relationships. Because again, we appreciate that, consultation is not always just phone calls and sometimes, these Zoom meetings, that sometimes it's best to meet in person. So we're hoping some in-person meetings can happen there soon. And that's kind of the wrap up. There's also I'm trying to think. In northern Maryland, we have about 9 to review, and then Western Maryland's another 11. But I kind of want to get the eastern and the southern ones taken care of first, and then we'll kind of move on to the other regions of the state. So we probably have about at least a year or two more left to get through the consultation on this. But you should be looking for some of these historical markers to go up and to you all to be invited to a lot of the unveilings, because there's these great unveiling ceremonies that do happen with these historical markers. So that's my spiel. So do you have any questions?
Madam Chair, if I can make a statement.
Sure.
Just want to clarify that there were individuals that were mentioned here tonight because of the position and the hat, as we like to say, that they're wearing here tonight as commissioners, whether it be the vice chair or another commissioner here tonight. But when they are meeting with Dr. Julie Shablisky, they are meeting as tribal representatives. So I want to be clear on that. That way that when they're making those assisting with decision making or providing situations there, this is why the entire commission is not they do not have to be concerned with saying, yes, the commission is on board with what I just said, because they're representing their communities in that capacity. So I want to make that very clear to everyone, just in case, as when they are sitting here, they are commissioners. They are not tribal representatives only or private citizens. So I just want to make that clear, so it's very helpful to not just the body here, but those who are witnessing the presentations and conduction of business.
Yeah, thank you for that clarification. I appreciate that.
Yeah, Julie, thank you for what you've been doing on this project. I know it's been quite an undertaking.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you for giving an update, because sometimes, we're working in our own separate regions and not really aware of what's going on in the other regions. So it's good for folks who are listening to be able to hear this simultaneously. We're working on more than one region at a time. So thank you so much for your presentation. Were there any other questions or comments from any of the commissioners? All right, hearing none, thank you again for your time. I see that Mr. Evans has joined us, so I'm going to jump back to Mr. Evans and hand things over to you.
Okay, sorry, had to find the mute button. My apologies. Good evening, everyone. My apologies for the hard start there. My name is Earl Evans. I'm an enrolled citizen of the Halloween Indian Tribe, for those of you who may not know me. I work as the Director of New Market Initiatives for Red Cedar Solutions, and we're currently working collaboratively with the Maryland Commission on Indian Affairs, as well as the Department of Human Services, regarding the Indian Child Welfare Act program, and how DHS can better implement the provisions of the Indian Child Welfare Act. We recently engaged in consultations with the federally recognized tribes, as well as other Indian tribal community representatives. One of the commitments we made when we first brought this to you was to keep the Maryland Commission updated. So just wanted to let you know that we have conducted all of the consultations. The comment period is going to remain open until the end of this week. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it's actually around August the 15th. I'm sorry, August the 8th. I apologize. So I just wanted to update the commissioners on that and let you know where we are at this point. We're in the process after the comment period closes of submitting an updated briefing paper to the Department of Human Services regarding what we found out during the consultations, all of the suggestions we received, the comments and the ideas for implementation that we received from everyone, and compile that into a comprehensive report for the Department of Human Services. So after that point in time, we'll be working with the Department of Human Services on how they desire to implement the recommendations that come out of that report. So just wanted to give you that brief update and see if there are any questions for us at this time. And while folks are looking towards questions, I do want to express a tremendous amount of appreciation for the Maryland Commission on Indian Affairs and Administrative Director Keith Colston, Madam Chair, everyone who has worked diligently to bring this to fruition, because we have had some really great consultations. And of course, we couldn't have done it without everyone being helpful and engaging.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Commissioners, are there any questions, comments, or concerns for Mr. Evans?
Had one. So I know you are compiling the comments that you received during the consultations and during the comment period. Will that report be shared with MCIA, as well as the remarks that you get from DHS?
That'll be left up to DHS. I do know that we're going to hand that off to them, so that will be left up to them in terms of how they handle that. But I wouldn't imagine that they would keep the high level recommendations on those from the Maryland Commission on Indian Affairs. So I can get a very specific answer for you, so that at your next meeting you can be made aware of how much of that report will be shared with the Maryland Commission on Indian Affairs.
All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I would definitely love to hear an update and see how much of that would be shared with us, just as we move forward, and especially as we're going into legislative sessions for next year, kind of thinking about what does that look like for communities.
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair. We'll definitely collaborate with you on that to make sure that those recommendations make it somehow to the Maryland Commission. Like I said, I don't know what the plan is for the copies of the entirety of the final report, but at least the recommendations that came out from that, we'll talk with them about making sure that we can get those things shared with the Maryland Commission.
Thank you. Any other questions from commissioners? All right, hearing none, thank you so much for joining us this evening. And we look forward to reading those recommendations.
Thank you so much for giving me just a few minutes of your time this evening to provide that brief update. Commissioners, other guests, hope you have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to our next presenter, Dr. Springler. I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wish I was a doctor, but I'm not. I'm just Carrie. Good evening to you and to the commission, and thanks as always for including me on the agenda tonight. I'm here to update the commission on the Section 106 Cultural Resources Consultation status for Maryland State Highway Administration projects. Very briefly, a couple weeks ago, we sent out an update on the Francis Scott Key Bridge design to tribes and other consulting parties. This was sent for informational purposes only, as the redesign didn't affect the area of potential effects, which is what we use to determine the need for cultural resources studies and mitigation efforts. Also sent to the commission and the relevant tribes in July was the executed programmatic agreement for the US 50 Bay Bridge to Ocean City Intelligent Design Systems project, which lies entirely on the Eastern Shore. This PA identifies our path forward for dealing with any cultural resources that are encountered or that may be affected from plans that we will receive in the future from the design build team that'll be producing plans for the project. These plans probably won't be coming for a year or more in the future, but they will eventually be coming. So this kind of gives us our path forward to dealing with that. In Prince George's County, we have a drainage project on Floral Park Road that's restarting. This project will have an adverse effect on a site that lies in the village of Piscataway. This site actually appears to date primarily to the 18th and 19th centuries and is associated with colonial and post-colonial European Americans. But given the historical presence of the Piscataway in that region, in that general vicinity, we thought it might be of interest. So you can expect a consultation letter and an invitation to consult to be sent to the commission and relevant tribes once we get the project details we need to move that forward. And finally, SHA conducts Section 106 consultation on behalf of the Federal Highway Administration for many local government projects that receive federal funding, and I have updates on 2 of these projects. One is a project in Montgomery County that we reached out to tribes on in February of this year, the Glen Road over Piney Run Bridge Replacement Project. We recommended archaeological survey on this project due to the nearby presence of a pre-contact site that has stone tools and associated lithic debris. And I just received word that the county just gave their consultant notice to proceed on this project. So this work, the archaeological survey, should be commencing soon, and the commission and consulting tribes will receive a copy of the draft archaeological survey report for comment once that's completed. And then the other local government project that I wanted to bring up tonight is the proposed Pope's Creek Rail Trail project, which is in Charles County. We recently reached out to the commission and tribes to inform them that we will require a phase 1 archaeological survey for this project, as it actually lies very near 2 pre-contact shell midden sites, one of which is known to have human burials. So even though much of this project is going to occur on an old abandoned railroad bed, an associated parking area and a portion of the project lies in wetlands, which have washed out portions of the railroad bed. So the project actually does have high potential for encountering pre-contact cultural deposits. And so we're going to require archaeological survey for the entire project limits of disturbance. So even the parts that are on the rail bed, just in case anything goes off the bed or in case anything is encountered. And so consultation materials for this project were sent out to the commission and tribes in mid-July. I didn't think to write down the date that we're requesting a response, but just be aware that within the next couple of weeks, if anybody has comments on this project, we would like to receive those in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, and so those are my updates for this meeting. So if there are any questions, I'm happy to take them.
So I do have the Pope's Creek one, and that date was August 19th. So that is coming
Great.
up.
Thank you.
Because I did have that one kind of on my radar, being as though I live in Charles County.
Yeah.
And so I did have a question with the archaeological disturbances there. Are there going to be continual updates specifically around that project?
Absolutely, I can provide you updates. And as a matter of fact, if you put that in writing to me that you would like to have updates, then I can pass that along to the county, because some of that stuff's out of my control. Until I receive the archaeological report, I only get whatever information the county sends me. So if you put that in writing, and then I can forward that to them and let them know that we want to make sure that you're updated regularly.
Thank you. And then do you have an estimated time frame of when the one that's off Floral Park Road, because that literally I'm very familiar with the area. It literally runs into Piscataway Road. So do you have an update on when we should be receiving materials around that one?
I would expect that one, since they haven't gone out and done the work yet, I would expect it's probably at least 3 to 4 months before you would be receiving anything. But I will make sure each subsequent meeting, I'll make sure to keep you updated on that too. Especially
Thanks.
since I know you're actively interested.
Yes, yes. Like I said, specifically in that area because of where that road does run to, for sure.
Yeah, and again with that one too, that one is an SHA project, but again, if you put it in writing that you want to make sure that you're being updated. I mean, you'll always receive the report, but they could potentially, the person who's managing the project in my office could give you more frequent updates if you'd like to have like interim updates before the report makes it your way.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Are there any
Yeah.
other questions from any of the other commissioners? All right, hearing none. I appreciate you giving us these updates because I did have some questions about some of the reports that we had. So thank you for kind of coming and giving us an update. And I will be in touch with some of those requests in writing.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to move on to Maria Day. Doesn't look like she's with us yet. So if she joins, I'll come back. We'll move on to Terry Lowther and Rebecca Rice with DHS.
So, Madam Chair, they will not be joining us. Terry Luther was returning as of today, so she wasn't, she didn't feel comfortable presenting here. But what I can tell you, my interaction with DHS and with foster care, with the foster care unit there, we have about 18 individuals who identify as American Indian, Native American, and Indigenous that are in foster care. Of course, because of the of laws and other things that are in play, I can't provide you much more information than that. But what I can tell you is that we are looking forward to future conversations concerning having workshops that will be centered around more individuals having awareness of what it is, what it takes to become a foster parent, those regulations, the requirements, so forth. And just as we did back in 2018, we look forward to hopefully, if it's just one, establishing and assisting and a family becoming foster parents.
Thank you so much for that update. Moving on to Holloway, Javerna Holloway.
Holloway and Brown will not be joining us this evening.
All right. How about Michael Macon? I will hand it over to you.
I was not aware that I was on the agenda today. Sorry for that. I'm not sure how I got on the agenda for this month. My apologies there.
All right.
I apologize to you, sir. As Administrative Director for the Commission, I'll apologize to you. We were under the impression that there was a request for you to be here tonight and to present to the Commission. So our apologies to you, but we are glad that you are attending and being able to witness the other presentations and any other conduction of business if you decide to stay longer.
Yeah, I will say that I will have an update in the future. I've been working with the Archaeological and Environmental Committee. So I will have an update in the future, just not for this meeting.
Thank you.
So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. All right. I see that Maria Day has joined us, so I will ask her if she is ready to present with us this evening. Looks like she may be having some audio issues. It's saying connecting to audio. We'll give it a few minutes.
Yeah. So Maria, if you can hear me, if you can just come off mute.
So I can see she is a co-host. I'm not sure if there's some other audio issues that may be going on.
Madam Chair, while she's trying to connect with us, I want to identify that we do have my Chief of Staff, here with us tonight as well, besides Lisa and myself representing the staff of the Governor's Office Community Initiatives, Mr. Gregory Yancey. So Greg, I didn't know, just want to provide that information to everyone, and I can wait till my administrative report to give him an opportunity to speak. So we do not be in any type of out of compliance with our agenda.
Thank you so much for that. Maria, if you're able to figure out your sound later, I'm going to go ahead and keep the agenda moving and go to the administrative report. But if you get it figured out after the administrative report, I'll come back to you. So with that being said, Director Colston, if you'd like to provide your administrative director report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As always, in reference to my report, I provide you with the numbers concerning different aspects of my job and what I do from a day-to-day operations. 32 meetings I attended between the last meeting and this meeting, 22 reports that I provided, which would include staff reports, documents that are requested by the public, could be in reference to a tribal contact list or other items or the documentations that we have within our possession that I'm able to provide. That also includes weekly reports as well to my executive director, which of course is Larry Walker. 2 conference calls, 1 RAC review that everyone was made aware of concerning through email, and then 3 events that I attended that would have been either connected directly with the Maryland Commission on Indian Affairs or with the Governor's Office Community Initiatives. The highlights that I always try to provide is 1 being the RAC review. That was the final review for our genealogist, and I'll comment more on that down in the agenda. The second, of course, was the tribal consultation concerning ICWA, Indian Child Welfare Act. We had a good turnout, but what was more impressive was the dialogue and the consultation that did take place between tribal representatives, tribal leaders. And unfortunately, as I was sharing with Vice Chair Bradshaw, we did have some technical difficulties that the last 20 minutes did not allow us to finalize that great dialogue. But what we do have was recorded and will be provided and hopefully shared through DHS. I would also like to comment on the Governor's Office Community Initiatives concerning administrative priorities. If you visit the website for our esteemed Governor, Governor Wes Moore, there are a couple of pages to that particular site. One, of course, are the priorities of this administration. And we try to highlight and put our work around these different priorities that are listed, such as ending child poverty in the state of Maryland, setting Maryland students up for success, creating an equitable, robust, and competitive economy, connecting Marylanders to jobs, creating safe communities, making the state of Maryland a desirable and affordable home for all residents, advancing infrastructure to better connect all Marylanders to opportunities and each other, ensuring world-class health systems for all Marylanders, making Maryland a leader in clean energy and the greenest state in the country, making Maryland a state of service. I would encourage our commissioners first and foremost to visit the website. I'll make sure that I put it in the chat for everyone to have. Because when you first look at it, you may think it's one thing, but it's actually referring to perhaps something more in depth. So when you talk about ensuring world-class systems for health systems for all Marylanders, foster care and ICWA falls underneath that concerning what we do and the work that's being done here in the state that's either directly or indirectly affecting tribal communities, the Maryland Commission on Affairs, and what the Governor's Office is doing as a partner to DHS. So just to give you a couple of the highlights there, what those priorities are. And again, I will put the website in the chat room. I'd also like to give an opportunity, since we are referring to the Governor's Office Community Initiatives and updates, to give the opportunity to Chief of Staff Gregory Yancey if he'd like to share any words with anyone here today.
I appreciate the opportunity. I'm just here to observe and see how I might support today. I know you have a robust agenda and just want to thank you all for the great work that you're doing. And again, just want to observe and see how I might be able to support you and our administrative director here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for joining us this evening. And Dr. Colson, thank you for your report. Are there any questions from commissioners at this time? All right, hearing none, I am going to jump back. Okay.
Madam Chair, I just want to give one other comment. This month, the month of August, is Caribbean Heritage Month. The governor had an opportunity to give a video in reference to proclaiming the month as is. And of course, we look forward to working with his team once November rolls around. But I do want to acknowledge that for August Caribbean Heritage Month.
Thank you. And I see Commissioner Begay has her hand raised as well.
Yes, hi, thank you. My question is actually in regards to all of the announcements that have just been made about ICWA and things across the board. And just to clarify, this is regarding all Native Americans that live within the bounds of Maryland, right? Not just state recognized individuals. So ICWA would apply to federally recognized individuals that come from other tribes. Is that how I'm understanding this?
Sure. Let me try to do my best to clarify and give you an intelligent response to that. ICWA, being the Indian Child Welfare Act, is in reference to those who are federally recognized. We know that since 2015, that the Maryland Commission on Indian Affairs has worked with DHS concerning those who are not federally recognized, concerning the opportunity to present themselves and to represent themselves as tribal people, indigenous people, American, or should I say Indians. And so therefore, we have helped to create, along with DHS, certain priorities as far as policy and procedures concerning the people who are doing the intaking of these individuals, and provide them an opportunity to the best to our abilities and their abilities to place them within American families here in the state. So a good example would be those who are Lumbee, those who are Pocomoke Indian Nation, those who are Assateague, where ICWA doesn't cover them. We've been able to work with them in reference to this. The tribal consultation is coming about because of the grant that was awarded last year, the $250,000 grant that was awarded over a 4-year time period. And within that, there was tribal consultation that is to take place with those who are federally recognized and those who are state recognized and self-identifying. So this is where this is coming about in reference to tribal consultation and those that we're assisting with through Red Cedar Solutions, which of course Mr. Earl Evans is with, Maryland Commission on Indian Affairs, that we've done since 2009, leading to the policy procedures that were put in place in 2015, and where we're at now, working with them as a partner in the grant that was awarded to the Department of Human Services.
Thank you. So to expound further on that, how are the federally recognized people within the state of Maryland being made aware of the fact that there's this consultation happening with people like Red Cedar Solutions, et cetera? In addition, one more question.
Mm-hmm.
Talked about Native American poverty rates. Again, my question would extend to, does that cover, knowing that this is the Maryland Commission on Indian Affairs, does that also apply to federally recognized people that are not indigenous to the borders of Maryland, yet are federally recognized individuals that now reside within the state?
So I'll attempt to answer your question the best way possible. As far as the Maryland Commission on Indian Affairs is concerned, we're here to assist and provide information and be a place of resource for any and all, whether you're tribal or non-tribal. We do specify in reference to our tribal communities here in the state. So therefore, it would cover, the information that we get, that we receive, to be provided to those who are federally recognized, state recognized, and again, those living within the borders of the state of Maryland. As far as poverty rates and things of that nature, I would look for us to work through our committees to gather that information to the best of our abilities and whoever we can work with. That means, of course, supplying us with names and nominations to serve on our committees to be approved by the commission as a whole, and then working to provide and collect that data so that we can continuously share this and see where we can see a difference that needs to be made, where things need to be amended or created. That's one of the roles and jobs and duties of this commission is to see where we can make that change that's needed or that's being requested by our tribal communities, or again, by tribal individuals who live in the state.
Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from commissioners? All right, hearing no other questions, I am going to go to committee reports. I know we received 2 committee reports, so I'm going to start with the Educational Committee. So Commissioner Dunmore, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Do you want me to share that copy of that with the commission to see? Would that be okay, or just go read through it? I'll just go through it. The Maryland Commission on Indian Affairs Education Committee met on Thursday, July 31st, 2025. Attendees included committee member Ashley Esposito, Director Keith Colston, and GOCHI staff person Lisa Woodfolk. We had one committee member who was absent. I'll just briefly go through the key points of the meeting. We had the agenda included a brief overview of the committee's purpose and goals. Director Colston discussed the Open Meetings Act and its requirements. We had a brief discussion of the overall committee goals and objectives. Then we had a short brainstorming session. The key topics discussed during the brainstorming session included K through 12's curriculum standard changes, Title VI Indian Education Program, and potential changes that are going on there and how it might impact Native people in Maryland, Indian education and K through 12 program. We also discussed COMAR 13A01-06, educational equity. We also had a discussion about working with MSDE, the Maryland State Department of Education. There will be a representative from MSDE joining the Education Committee. I just have to get him processed through. He's very excited about coming and joining and working with us. Committee member Esposito brought up a couple of good points, include two of which were correcting the federal census to accurately count Maryland Native populations. Another point she discussed as a problem in terms of ceremonial fires. And she discussed how in the state of Colorado, the local Native peoples and tribes there have worked out agreements with the local fire departments for exemptions. In Maryland, there's been instances in Baltimore City where the fire department has intervened during sacred fires or ceremonies because of ordinances against burning fires in public at certain times of the year. So it was discussed we may want to pursue potential exemptions for the tribes, Indian populations in Maryland, where we could get exemptions from the local fire departments so we could have ceremonies without being interfered with by the local fire departments. We also discussed upcoming events. I don't know if this might be brought up later, but just to mention, on August 4th, 2025, there's going to be a Native American Lifelines Back to School Healthcare event. It's going to be held at Chesterwood Park in Dundalk, Maryland. Some of the things done there will be providing school supplies, dental screenings and vaccines, and much more. We concluded by discussing upcoming meetings and scheduling upcoming meetings and potential call meetings. And that is the end of my report. Thank you. Are there any questions? Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Dunmore. I do want to say that I hope that with some of the priorities that the committee talked about, I'd love to see some collaboration with some of the other committees. And always, wherever I can support, please let me know. And I think that some of these I've been issues like the fires I've been made aware of, and I think that may be a good one for you and environmental to also collaborate on, because ceremonial fires, there's definitely issues more in maybe more of the city areas than some of the rural counties. So I definitely think that you guys maybe could cross collaborate on that one.
Absolutely. And I had this meeting has been scheduled, but it had to be rescheduled. And I know that there have been interest from other committee members to join, and just because of the rush, and I couldn't to get others. And I welcome any other committee members or chairpersons to please join, and I'll be in touch with them.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, you did touch on, city versus rural. There's a great difference in regulations on that kind of stuff. In the rural areas, of course, I know that there's open air burning after 4 o'clock, or you need to get a permit during daytime hours. But the fire companies, if they know, they're not going to bother you so much. But yeah, I could see that in an urban situation. And I think we do need to work with the urban communities to figure out a way that we can facilitate our brothers and sisters.
And Madam Chair, if I can make a statement right quick, just want to just clarify that what was reported concerning the fire departments and so forth in urban areas, that was what was being reported to us, and that's what we're reporting out. So I just want to make it clear that concerning what we are presenting during the conduction of this business is those things that were being reported to us that we're reporting out to you. Not to make claim to anything that we've actually seen ourselves and so forth, but what has been reported during the committee meeting itself.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to go to Archaeology and Environmental Committee. So Vice Chair Bradshaw, I'm gonna hand it off to you.
All right, we met on July 9th. Those in attendance were myself, Buddy Howard, or Commissioner Howard, I'm sorry, Commissioner Robinson, Rico Newman, Dr. Virginia Busby, and we had Sabine Bailey from DNR, as well as Michael Macon and Charlotte Sheeran from the Critical Areas Commission. Mr. Macon presented on trying to create an overlay on GIS maps of regional areas that tribal communities would have an interest in if there was a need to comment on critical area issues. And using the Maryland State Arts Council map, which we all find to be not so correct and very generic, it was kind of getting into a discussion. Well, we got into a discussion where it just seemed to be extremely complicated and that it needed to be simplified. And what it boiled down to was everybody felt that if the MCIA could keep an updated list, an annually updated list of Maryland tribes and their areas of interest to include geographical areas, homelands, and also the kinds of opportunities, impacts, and projects that are of interest. These include cultural resources, burials, inadvertent discoveries, environmental impacts, interpretive opportunities and undertaking, health education, etc. And what the guests observe is that there's no current or accurate source of information on Maryland tribes to be found online. And it was suggested that the MCIA webpage should have a very clear and accurate source of that information on Maryland tribes and their contact information. And I'm sure that our webpage, like many of the other state web pages, is undergoing transformation. So that's something that we should look at, Director Colston, to have included in our accessible information. I'm just scrolling through here because I sent from I think something that we should do going forward when we do these committee reports is not only send them to Director Colston and his assistant, but also include other commissioners on these handouts as well. There was the discussion of on the MOU for the APRs, and what committee member Rico Newman noticed was in the amended MOU, there for contact, people of contact, the MCIA was excluded. It was in the original MOU, and we feel that that it needs to be revised to include the MCIA chair and vice chair and executive director for contact information anytime something goes on with these APRs. There was also a discussion of an email that was sent to Director Kurtz from DNR, or Secretary Kurtz, I should say, and Sabine Bailey. Sabine Bailey provided an update on activities at the Y Ossuary to include that a reburial of remains took place on May 14th. Sabine had been in touch with Maryland Parks Superintendent about the activities and had the understanding that the MCIA was being updated on these activities. We did not have any such knowledge of those activities, and we're very unaware, and Ms. Bailey was under the assumption that we all knew. So Anyway, that's pretty much the gist of the report.
Thank you so much for that, Vice Chair Bradshaw. And I do want to just make one clarification. When you guys are sending reports, they are supposed to go to all commissioners so that they have a chance to review them prior to the meeting. So that way, if there's any questions and things like that, they have the opportunity. So,
Well,
yeah.
and I was under the assumption that once I sent it in, that it would be dispersed by Lisa to the rest of the commissioners. So from now on, when I do a report, I will make sure that the others are copied on it.
Thank you. And so we can go ahead and make sure that everybody gets this report that you submitted. I want to make sure that everybody gets that, so I can forward it after the meeting just so that everybody has it as well. But there was a couple of things that you touched on, and I want to then open it up to other commissioners. Regarding the website, I know that this has been a subject that has come up multiple times in our conversations, including at our SPS this year. Director Colston, are you able to give us a framework of if we want to have website changes, does that need to go to a vote and those changes be outlined through a vote and then submitted, like the requested changes? Or is this something that would have to be done more on the administrative side of GOCHI, and then we're able to at least be in consultation around what is on the website?
The short answer to all of that is yes. So because you went from one stage to the next, so I would say yes to all of that. Now, to specify and to get a little bit more deeper into, as I like to say sometimes, the weeds of the situation, is that you are more than welcome as a body to make a motion, get a second, have a discussion on what you'd like to see in reference to changes or input or information that would best represent the commission itself and tribal communities. So you're more than welcome to do that. Once you do so, and you put that into some type of formal documentation, reference to those changes and how you'd like things to be seen, I would then take that as the administrative director, again, to those who make those, provide those authorizations, and where we as the state can make those changes, put those, add to the website itself. So I'll give you a good example. There are times when we have commissioners who have wonderful ideas and they have wonderful softwares and hardware that they'd love for us to be able to utilize. But we have to get authorization for that from the state and from people who are beyond myself in order to do so. We are always looking forward to any recommendations that you have as a body to the Governor's Office Community Initiatives and on to what can be done. That's never a problem. That should never be a situation where you can't make those recommendations. So yes to all of it. That's the specification. And once I can get those approvals, then it comes back down the line to let you know what was approved, what couldn't be, and the justifications of why. I will go back to some of the things that the committee feels and commented on that they would like to see and what they think should be there. As always, your committees are there to do that groundwork, gather that information, bring it to the forefront of the body itself, which is all of you as the commission, and you decide what recommendations you're going to move on from whatever recommendations / votes that those committees have put forth. So I love hearing these. I love hearing any and all that you had to provide and whatever I can do from an administrative side to make those things happen.
Thank you for that. So, commissioners, I'm going to charge you all with, let's maybe put together a working document, to make note of some of the changes that I've heard many of us request regarding the website, and kind of put that into some type of layout that everyone is able to see. That way it maybe can come forth in a motion to vote on with everybody being aware of those changes. I would say that while the commissioners are going to be the one to vote on it, I would encourage community interaction in that as well, and kind of finding out what does community want to see and what would be helpful for community, and also making sure that we are following up with those that are identified on that tribal contact list, on making sure that they're comfortable with that information being shared, because it then becomes public record. So I want to make sure that we're doing that due diligence and reaching back out to community. But if we create some type of working document that all of us are in, that can kind of begin this process to lay that out. So I challenge all of you to, if that is going to continue to be an issue that we raise, let's find a solution to it.
And Madam Chair, I just want to state that for the record, there are times that I'm reaching out to either commissioners or I'm reaching out to tribal leadership to get also an authorization from them about the type of data that they would like or allow us to utilize and put up on the website as well. And so we are looking forward to a revamping that is taking place right now. Our communications director, she's always working to add to things. And just to give you a little bit more insight, we're looking to really update it to a point where we're right there with the rest of society, even though we're a state agency, to be there right there with the rest of society, meaning that if there's an opportunity to do a video of you as the chair, as the one who sits in the position that you do and represent the commission in that particular manner, whether it's myself or having someone from our office to do so, we're looking forward to adding those things to the website. So please continue to share your recommendations and the things that you vote on as a body and that you all support to be move forward and to be presented on the website itself.
Thank you for those comments. And before I move on to another topic from the report, are there any other questions, comments, or concerns from commissioners?
Yeah, I have a question, I guess, and a concern. Commissioner Bradshaw touched on this earlier with respect to the repatriation of ancestral remains from the Y Island ossuary having occurred on May 14th. Is there any explanation that can be offered in this meeting as to why communities on the Eastern Shore or for that matter throughout the state, why they were not notified of this repatriation event before it happened?
So I'm going to hand that over to Director Colston, but I do just want to make one comment in making sure that, are you asking MCIA, why didn't MCIA receive that update, or are you asking why community leaders and communities didn't receive that? And because we don't have somebody from MHT here to address that specifically. So I kind of just want to know, are you asking about MCIA or?
All the above. All the above.
Okay. Director Colston?
Sure. So the Maryland Commission on Indian Affairs does have a partnership and a working relationship with MHT. I am more welcome to reach out to them and find out exactly why that was the case. I can't provide you with that specific or intelligent answer at this point in time, but if that is something you would like for me to not investigate, but to inquire, I will definitely do so.
I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
So to that, if we're going to make a formal request, I would like for that formal request to be voted on, and so that it's an actionable item that we can make sure that we receive a response to.
Okay, well, I'm happy to make a motion, or whoever wants to, but I would think the motion would be, and I'm happy to make it, that we as a body request an explanation from the Maryland Historic Trust as to why this repatriation on May 14th was not noticed to both commissioners as well as community members throughout the state, so that one, we were aware of it taking place, and two, we could have potentially have been present for that repatriation.
So,
And I'll second that motion.
Hold on one second. Hold on. That was a long motion. That's
sorry, I'm wordy.
Yeah,
sorry.
No. I actually think that because we don't have that formal language of what we're submitting as a request, is there a way that Commissioner Bradshaw from the Environmental and Archaeology Committee that you can draft some language that we would be able to vote on? And if we need to have a special call meeting to vote on that, we can do that.
Well, you can also do an email vote too.
I just want to have the formal language.
Yes,
and the formal motion.
The language can be drafted and it can be sent to the commissioners via email for a yes or a no vote.
Okay. So and then I need two things. I need the formal motion and I need the formal language. Because that language was, that motion was long and we have to record the motions for votes. So very straight, direct.
I can make it more concise if that helps.
Yes. So that can help, but I think that the formal language also, so like if we vote on it, what it would be the turnaround time for us to have that formal language to get to MHT?
24 hours.
And
Agreed.
and then everybody doesn't have a chance to vote on the formal language, is what I'm
If
saying.
it's sent via email, they can vote on it. When I was in local government, they called it a phone poll. All they did was send us an email. Is this read the information? Did you vote yes or no? And
So
those votes can be sent to, they can go back to Lisa or Keith, either one, and they can tally it to make it official.
okay, so then I guess I'm asking, are we tabling this motion until we have the formal language so that everybody is able to see it?
I don't know that I don't know that tabling it is the right step. The motion that I made verbally, while it can be put into writing to be consistent, it certainly can be opened up. We've got a second on that motion. It can certainly be opened up through discussion or for discussion during this meeting. And, so if there's more questions or concerns that people want to ask or discuss, we can get through that part of this process so that once it's sent out in written form, it can be voted on more directly.
Okay, so is there any other discussion on the motion that's on the table? So at this point, we're asking for the vote to happen tonight. So all in favor of voting for sending a formal request to MHT around the Y ossuary burial, all four?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstain? Lisa, I'm not sure if you were able to, I didn't hear everybody, so I'm trying to.
I didn't either. I don't think Commissioner Begay.
Sorry, I was late. I said aye.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Commissioner Tyler?
He's muted.
Yeah, I'm just trying to move all the blocks of people to see if I'm seeing.
Yeah, he's still
anybody.
muted.
I'll unmute him.
All the votes.
I don't know what he did.
Okay, he's unmuted now.
Okay.
Request his vote so you can record his vote, please.
Commissioner Tyler, are you for, against, or abstaining from the motion?
Four.
All right, thank you so much.
This is Commissioner Landeros. I vote for it.
Thank you, Commissioner Landeros. And Commissioner Robinson?
It's my hand 4.
4. Okay. Yeah, when I have to change screens to see everybody if you don't come off mute, so I can't always see it. And I'm sure Lisa probably is having the same issue. So that was all for, no against, and no opposed, correct? And were you able, did I get everybody? Lisa, did you record everyone?
Yes, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. So so then we should be expecting to receive the language for that formal letter for us to review within the next day or two.
Yes.
Commissioner Dunmore is raising his hand.
Commissioner Dunmore?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Could maybe I missed it, but could someone please, if they know it, state what federally recognized tribes were consulted, who did the repatriation, what tribes were repatriated with? Thank you.
So that would be something that we could include in the request from MHT, because we didn't have not as far as I'm aware, we didn't receive any updates.
I think it's
last
important to
information-
know what tribes were involved, especially if you want to find a descendant or a tribe that's related to those ancestors. It'd be good to know who made the claim for them and where they're actually related, potentially. Thank you.
So I know that previously Chief Donna Abbott was also in consultation with MHT. So, and that was why I was asking that clarification. Was it the MCIA not receiving the information, or was it the Nasu Wash community who they were already dealing with for this process that didn't receive that?
Thank you, ma'am.
Commissioner Dunmore, to answer your question, the last information that we were given was that it was the Delaware Indian Nation that they were consulting with.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you. All right. Are there any other questions, concerns, or comments regarding the archaeology or environmental committee report? All right, hearing none, I'm going to go to RAC committee report, and that's going to come from Administrative Director Colston.
Madam Chair Thomas, and to the commissioners, our next phase of the petition process will be the Recognition Advisory Committee group meeting that will occur on August 20th. Been in verbal consultation with each and every one of them. The agreement has been August 20th. And so that will be the next phase of the petitioning process for the Nottawiga petition for Maryland Indian status.
Thank you for that update. Any questions from commissioners? All right.
Director Colston, will there be a subsequent meeting after that, or are they gonna, how long do you figure this process will have to work through before it actually comes back to us for a up or down vote?
I can't answer that question, sir. It depends on if they're going to ask for supplemental information, which is a hypothetical that could occur.
Understood.
If that's the case, if you look, if as far as the process is concerned, if we were able to stick to the process, that would be a 30-day window that they would have, or time frame that they would have to submit that information back to us. The RAC would have 30 days to review that supplemental information or additional information that they may request. The petitioning party hypothetically could say, no, we're not providing you with any information or any additional information. So there's a lot of hypotheticals out there or scenarios that could occur. So it would be improper for me to provide you with a timeline, but I can provide you with what the process says. And it's a 30-day process for them to get it back to us or back to the RAC. And then a 30-day turnaround for us to review, and if there's any additional questions or additional information that might be requested. So there are timeframes that are in the process itself for.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any other questions regarding RAC? All right. Appropriate places of repose, that working group.
The reason that's there, Madam Chair, is because I wanted to leave it as not necessarily a discussionary item, but it is a topic. It is also a working group that from our last meeting and previous meetings has been requested to be brought back online, so to say, because of the issues that have been raised by our tribal community members, tribal communities, as well as commissioners and commissioners here tonight. So I would encourage that my advice is that if you have a great concern that there should be an official letter for request of meeting with MHT between the 5 individuals who represent the archaeological community, as well as the 4 individuals that presently would represent the Maryland Commission on Indian Affairs and Tribal Communities concerning the working group on appropriate places of repose. So this is the reason why that is on the agenda. That could be a discussionary item between you, myself, and the vice chair, seeing that for the reason and justification, because he is the chair of the archaeological committee. He also serves as the vice chair. You serve as the chair. I serve as the administrative director. That could be a conversation and a meeting that we could have and explore situations there. And then it could be brought to the forefront of the commission where a motion and a vote could take place on further action or official action.
I would definitely like to have a further conversation, especially because I think when we had this conversation, it was to go back and to look at that MOU, and the Archaeology and Environmental Committee has done some of that work already. But I would definitely like to have a conversation on moving forward and what that would look like. So if Vice Chair Bradshaw, if we can come together and find some time, the three of
Yes.
us to meet, that would be great.
Yeah, because Director Colston, and I believe you and I, well, the three of us, Madam Chair, have had this discussion. I know of at least one former member of that working group that is no longer with us. So there's members on our side and possibly the archaeological side that may no longer be able to serve. And we definitely need to reactivate this working group. Truthfully, it should have never been disbanded because as I say many times over, it's not a matter of if but when we make the next discovery of our ancestors.
So just for clarification, working groups can come in, it's ad hoc, it comes and goes based on the need. If we would like to see a permanent committee for this, that would be something that would have to be voted on and then would have to go through legislation because our committees are laid out through legislation. So
What-
if that, go ahead.
Well,
Dr.
let me just let me just give a little bit more advice here. Concerning the working group, it's not a legislative situation, but it would be something that would have to be discussed. And there are some formal and official moves and phases that would need to take place because our working group is not just MCIA. It has to deal with two other agencies within state government. So therefore, it's not a legislative situation, but there's further discussion that needs to take place. And then there needs to be official or actions that on behalf of the Maryland Commission on Indian Affairs that needs to occur, which I just mentioned. And then we need to be in consultation with the other two agencies that are involved concerning the working group itself. I will make sure that I share with you the most recent information or documents that we have on the working group, as well as the appropriate places of repose agreement. And I have that in front of me right here, right now, because I'm noticing again the amendments to the MOU concerning the appropriate places of repose. That falls under the working group appropriate places of repose. So just want to keep people in mind that, there's a lot of layers to this, and we want to make sure that we're moving in the most official and professional capacity possible in what we're talking about.
So let me ask you if it goes, because a working group, is a working group supposed to stand indefinitely, or is that a committee?
So from my understanding, concerning the working group, that these individuals would be brought together anytime that there was a concern in reference to either appropriate places of repose or in reference to remains that were found in the state of Maryland. So therefore, when the situation came up on the Eastern Shore concerning that particular area by Dorchester, that working group should have been brought back together to discuss that situation. That was not done. Whether it's me or anybody else, we know and other individuals know that did not take place. Now, for whatever reason it didn't take place, whether it should have happened through official capacities or making phone calls and determining that there's a meeting that should be had by these individuals, that did not happen. So some like the Recognition Advisory Committee, which is a committee, there should have been phone calls made and there should have been official correspondence that was had to make sure that the meeting would take place. That did not occur with the working group on appropriate places of repose. And I would encourage that we have further discussion on that. And that's not to say that we are eliminating or removing or not having other people involved, but we would be at the phase where we would need to have a discussion as a chair, vice chair, which we can do, as well as other individuals from the other agencies that are involved.
And I think that's my concern is if we keep it just as a working group and it never becomes a committee, does that continuously happen as we have turnover?
No, not at all. It's just making sure that we stay on top of what needs to be done, whether it's a working group, whether it's a committee, whether it's the body itself, like what you are as a commission, just making sure that we're following, what needs to be done in order to conduct our business. As we well know that whether you're a working group, if you're an entity created by the state, there are parameters that we have to follow, and there are things that do have to occur depending upon the body that you are or the entity that you are and what you're created and how you're created by. And so I would always, as I always do, I always encourage individuals to Please read the Open Meetings Act. Please read the documents that you have on the working group as far as appropriate places to propose. Overall, please, if you can, do your own due diligence in reference to the documents that we are responsible for and the actions that we're responsible for as well.
Okay.
And I'll assist you wherever I need to and whatever you ask of me from an administrative point of view.
Director
Vice Chair
Colston,
Bradshaw?
any information on the working group that you have, how it's constituted or whatever, would you please send that out to myself and the other commissioners? And I, like you, encourage everybody to go online and do the Open Meetings Act training. I did it when I was in local government, and I'm about to redo it just for a refresher.
And you're going to redo it because you're the vice chair of the Maryland Commission on Indian Affairs.
That too.
So just in case everybody, just a reminder, the Maryland Commission on Affairs is unique because we actually do require all of our commissioners to take the Open Meetings Act training, whereas we are unique that other commissions are not required to do so. But we did, of course, vote on this years ago that we would be the one commission that all of our members take the Open Meetings Act training. The other commissions, it's the chair and vice chairs that are required to take the training. And by the Open Meetings Act itself, it's only one person on the body of an entity that is required to take the training. So we go far and beyond. And I'm glad to say that, and I say that for a public record. This is what our commission is all about. And so, just a reminder there: if you're new, or if you, for whatever reason, you needed to retake the training, please do. I encourage that.
Thank you. Any other questions regarding the working group? All right, hearing none, I'm going to move to Maryland 250.
Madam Chair, Maryland 250, we are working, and we do have a plan here from administrative side that I've shared with you at the last meeting. I'll share with you once again that we are looking forward to taking the Birds Flew Over art exhibit and utilizing that as something that will make its way throughout the state of Maryland. I would like to confer with the working group, which we did establish months ago, that if we could get together and establish a meeting date, that we would decide what locations that would be in 2026, that this would be at, who would be there to monitor and supervise the exhibition wherever it may be. I'm definitely supportive and would advise, not that I have a vote, but I would advise at least a minimum of 4 locations representing our culture, representing our balance, representing who we are from a cultural point of view. But again, that's the decision to the working group. That's just some of my advice that I throw out freely, so to say.
Thank you. And to that, I also am encouraging us to continue to submit names for this working group. We are already at August, guys. We are more than halfway through 2025. And so I definitely want to make sure that as we're looking at activities across the state, that we are also seeing what your communities, your individual communities are putting forth as well. And so that we're able to support those as well. So if you have any other folks that we need to have on that Maryland 250 working group, I would love to have those names and contact information so that we can reach out to them. Commissioner Dunmore.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick question. I'm curious, has anyone, and this is a general question for all commission members, anyone who might be online, has anyone done any study, research on American Indians from Maryland's Southern Revolutionary War? Is there any, I'm just curious, if that has been looked into, is that something hasn't been addressed yet, or?
Are you asking commissioners in their capacity as commissioners if they've done that work, or just?
Well, I just a general question. I mean, if you know your capacity, that'd be great. If not, that'd be great too. I'm just curious as to, since we're looking at the 250th anniversary of the Revolution, and I know that, and just from a personal note, I've been doing that kind of work in North Carolina. So I'm kind of curious what type of work has been done here in Maryland, if anyone knows about that or has any information they could share.
Larry, can you restate your question? I'm sorry.
Sure. I'm curious is there been any research or information put together regarding Maryland American Indians who may have served in the Revolutionary War, be they in militias, colonial line forces, even who may have been loyalists. Thank you.
So I will say, if you reach out to me in my professional capacity, I think I have some answers for you regarding a lot of research that our teams have been doing. I also wanted to make note that Director Colston placed in the chat the Maryland 250 grants application. This is rolling grants. I'd love to see our communities putting forth some projects for 250. And so if there are any other questions around 250 and the working group.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. All right. Going to old business legislation updates. Dr. Colston, do you have anything there?
Yes, Madam Chair. You were asked by the Governor's Office Community Initiatives. You received an email from Cherie Wareheim concerning legislation or proposed legislation, thoughts of legislation, any thoughts that you may have. You were able to do so as individuals. We were able to do so as a commission once you take a vote or put a motion, and we have document or specific legislation or information that we're able to share. But I would like for if you have an opportunity, if you did submit, to please share that with me as administrative director. If you were doing so as a commissioner, I'd love to see that and have that and do some comparisons. I'm able to also do so, and I did so not as a private citizen. I did so as the director of ethnic commissions, which I have that opportunity to do. Some of these topics were in reference to education. A little bit more specific would have been a day of awareness for missing and murdered Indigenous women, which of course is legislation that has been passed in other states that they have, and it's something that possibly, hypothetically, that the state of Maryland could do once it's supported, not just perhaps from or hypothetically from tribal communities, but from other entities or communities or individuals throughout the state. So I just want to touch on that and provide an opportunity if anybody did, as a commissioner, present legislation. If you wanted to share that, you're more than willing to do so. If not, again, just an opportunity.
Anything from commissioners on that? Checking to see if there's any hand.
Yeah, I think that we need to look at having Maryland law codified with NAGPRO using California as an example. We need to make this more, in the famous words, equitable, not only for for our state and state recognized and our self-identified tribe, clans, and bands when it comes to repatriation and dealing with the ancestors.
Thank you, Vice Chair Bradshaw. Is there any other legislation updates? All right. We touched on the historical marker initiative with Carrie, but Dr. Colston.
The reason I left that on the bottom is separate from Dr. Shablisky, is that I would advise the Maryland Commission on Affairs request notice to be able to support any unveilings of the historical markers, so that we can be there as a supportive body. I've been a part of this in other states because I was invited as an administrative director and someone who worked in Indian affairs to other states, one being Delaware, one being New Jersey, one being North Carolina. And it's an incredible opportunity to be there and show that type of support in person. And I think it would be a missed opportunity if the Maryland Commission on Indian Affairs as a body and as representatives wearing those hats missed out on those opportunities. So I will be in discussion with Dr. Julie Sobieski, but I would also make a request from the commissioners here as you return back to your tribal communities and you're working with this initiative, that you might think about us being able to participate, if nothing else, to support the day of the unveilings.
Thank you for that. Any comments or questions for Director Colston? All right, we are down to new business. Is there any new business that anyone is looking to bring forth today? All right, hearing no new business, we'll move on to public announcements on future community events.
I'd like to mention the upcoming archaeology summit on September the 6th, Saturday. It is, bear with me just a second, I'll read this. It's going to be at the historic Baldwin Hall in Millersville, Maryland, from 10 o'clock in the morning until 4 o'clock. And we can send, I think Vice Chair Bradshaw had already posted this in the chat, but there is a copy of the flyer for that event noted in the chat. And in October, on October the 27th, at the Talls Museum, Governor Talls Museum in Chrisfield, they're having a heritage festival that will include demonstrations and exhibits by the Pocomoke Nation.
Thank you for those updates, Commissioner Howard. Any other upcoming community events?
Yep, September the 13th, our festival in Vienna at the ball field, and we'll be celebrating 20 years at that location this year. So we'll be giving the town of Vienna a little recognition during the day for being so gracious to allow us to have our festival there.
And that was September 13th?
13th.
Yeah.
Gates open at 10 o'clock. It's from 10 to 6. Grand entry is at noon.
And are you able to share that flyer with everyone as well?
Yes, I will send it out.
Thank you. Any other upcoming events?
Yeah, this is Commissioner Linderos. I was contacted by the people who were involved in holding the 25th anniversary for the Million Man March. And they have requested Indigenous presence at this event. There was talk of maybe even having a drum to do a calling song and maybe a couple other things. I just wanted to put that out to the commission, possibly to help with bringing this to fruition, so that because I know in the past, being involved in both previous Million Man marches, there's always been a presence of us as Indigenous people at this event.
Thank you, Commissioner Landeros. Do you have any information that you can share regarding like the location, dates, and things like that with the rest of the commissioners?
Sorry. I am, they just reached out to me last week. Of course, the meeting that they wanted me attended was the same time as this. So I am waiting to hear from my connection with this to find out exactly what dates are, and I will forward all that information that I can to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. We look forward to receiving that information. Is there any other community updates?
Madam Chair, as far as the community is concerned, we are working in tandem with the Governor's Office of Community Initiatives concerning American Indian Heritage Month activities. We are looking at working with, of course, Governor Westmore and his team concerning some type of video to proclaim the month. We're also working on dates for other activities that may coincide or connect American Indian Heritage Day with American Indian Heritage Month. So I want to provide you with that information. As usual, I will prepare documents concerning the proclamation and other documents that we utilize annually from one year to the next. The last thing I'll leave with you to provide you with information that next year in 2026, besides Maryland 250, the Maryland Commission on Indian Affairs will celebrate 50 years of being a standalone commission. So that I'm putting it out there now as an announcement so that we can start, perhaps, putting our minds on opportunities and activities that directly represent us in our 50 years of existence.
Thank you for that. And my announcement was going to be around Youth of the Year, Volunteer of the Year, Adults of the Year. You know that we start gathering that information in preparation for those November events. So if you would make those contacts with communities to see if they're going to submit so that we can start getting those things in and getting that organized. Because our next meeting is not until October, and so then we're right up against November. So we can start gathering that information. That would be helpful. And then also I know that Director Colson has mentioned several times community updates and kudos that we want to send to Tanea to make sure that we're continuing to highlight things that are going on in our community. It is also possible. So if you don't have the way to submit that, please reach out so that we can make sure that we're continuing to have highlights on our community.
Madam Chair, I do have a sad note that I do want to share. Please keep Chief Donna Wolfmother Abbott in your prayers. Her sister quietly crossed the veil this past Friday, August the 1st, after a lengthy illness. So keep the family in your prayers if you would.
I have one question, just in response to Chairperson Thomas's comment about the Youth Volunteer and Adult of the Year awards. Can we get the criteria or the nomination information sent back out to us so that we can submit something?
We absolutely can make sure that you have all of the information on what that submission looks like and what we would need, including like a bio and photo and the community that is doing the sponsoring, because it's not coming from the commissioners, it's coming from the community.
Okay, yeah, if you could send that out, that would be a help. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm gonna write myself a note for that. Any other announcements? Hearing none, I will call for a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Seconded.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? All right, Lisa, were you able to record that vote?
No, I did not get who was the first person to make the adjourn.
I made the motion to adjourn.
Oh, that was
Commissioner Howard seconded.
Okay, thank you.
And you were able to record all the other votes, Lisa?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. With that, I am going to tell you all have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for your continued service and for those who are witnessing the business of the commission. And I look forward to talking to all of you. And Vice Chair Bradshaw and Dr. Colson, I look forward to talking to you real soon.
Yes.
Understood.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.